Today we're going to be studying Daniel chapter 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a revelation was given to Daniel, who was called Belteshazzar. Its message was true, and it concerned a great war. The understanding of the message came to him in a vision. 3rd year of Cyrus's reign, it says in Daniel 1:21 that he only served Cyrus up to the 1st year. So this is where I believe that at this point he's retired. He is about 90 years old here. I think possibly health reasons, we're not really told, but it says he only served him up to the 1st year. So the fact that it's the 3rd year that he's getting this vision lets me believe that maybe he had to step down from his duties in helping the king because of his health or his age. This vision is going to be explained to him later on. He is going to get the understanding once the angel comes, but at this point he does not have the understanding. And he had been praying and praying and praying that he would get the understanding, and he's going to go on for 3 weeks of doing that, and we'll see that in the next verse. At that time, I, Daniel, mourned for 3 weeks. I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotion at all until the 3 weeks were over. So he prayed and fasted for these 3 weeks, hoping to get an interpretation of this vision that he had seen, but he had not received anything. And we're going to learn why there was a delay. Verse 4. On the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, the Tigris, I looked up, and there before me was a man dressed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like topaz, his face like lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the sound of a multitude. I, Daniel, was the only one who saw the vision. Those who were with me did not see it, but such terror overwhelmed them that they fled and hid themselves. So I was left alone, gazing at this great vision. I had no strength left. My face turned deathly pale, and I was helpless. Then I heard him speaking, and I listened to him. I fell into a deep sleep, my face to the ground. It sounds like to me that's a description of him having passed out. It said he was getting pale. He was so scared. There was such terror that overwhelmed him that it says his face turned deathly pale. He felt helpless, and then it says he fell on his face on the ground in a deep sleep. So that to me is describing that he was so terrified that it ended up causing him to faint. So why this delay? We're going to find out again in a minute, but here it is. After the 3 weeks, he's with a group of people by this river, Tigris, and he sees this angel, this overwhelming presence of an angel, and the description of this angel terrified him. But even if it wasn't so that he was so large and so strong looking, we've talked about this before, that it seems like the encounters that humans have with angels, the first reaction that almost every single one of them has had is terror, of being in fear. And I think it's again because when we're in the presence of a holy being, we can see how sinful we are as in comparison. They are just so much more pure and holy than what we are. And really, I think it's a place of humility that we are afraid that here we are in the presence of such holiness, and we know that we are not. Okay, verse 10. A hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. He said, Daniel, you who are highly esteemed, consider carefully the words I am about to speak to you, and stand up, for I have now been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up trembling. Then he continued, Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me because I was detained there with the king of Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the future, for the vision concerns a time yet to come. So, why did this angel delay? Why did it take 3 weeks of fasting and praying and Daniel still didn't get an answer? It's very interesting here. There's been a lot of speculation as to exactly what this looks like. Who was the king, the prince of the Persian kingdom that was resisting this angel, where he needed to get the help of Michael to come to his aid to deal with whatever this prince of Persia was? Was it actually a human being that was that was doing things in that kingdom at that time that was challenging to him? Was it a principality? And that's what most people think. And I think that's where I lean to, is that it's not a human being that was causing this angel to delay. It was the spiritual forces in the heavenly realms. There was a battle going on, so to speak, of the good angels and the bad angels. And it came to this point. And we see a similar battle in Revelation chapter 12 between Michael and his angels against Satan and his angels. And in that particular case, it was Michael fighting against Satan. Well, when this angel is having a problem with overcoming this particular principality, the prince of Persia, he's going to have to ask Michael to come and help him. So I do believe that it's probably more of in the spiritual realm that we're talking about. This prince is not a prince on the earth, it's a prince in the heavenly realms. So he is going to come now to explain this vision to Daniel. It wasn't because Daniel was not righteous that he wasn't able to come right away, because he said in verse 12 that from the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding of that vision that Daniel had had and to humble himself, his words were heard. So the very first day that Daniel starts fasting and praying is when the prayer is heard. The answer was to go out, but there was delay because of this battle going on in the heavenly realms. Verse 15. While he was saying this to me, I bowed with my face toward the ground and was speechless. Then one who looked like a man touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and began to speak. I said to the one standing before me, I am overcome with anguish because of the vision, my lord, and I feel very weak. How can I, your servant, talk with you, my lord? My strength is gone, and I can hardly breathe. Even though he's still now, this angel has brought him back into consciousness, it's saying that he's still got this weakness. He's not feeling very good, but it's not just because of him seeing the angel. It's because of this vision that's going to happen to his people. It must have been terrifying to him. And we're going to learn about the interpretation of the vision in Daniel chapter 11. And it's very involved. It's got a huge, long history of some of the different leaders that are going to be on the earth from the time that it starts around the time of Alexander the Great's kingdom, when it ended up going to 4 different generals at that time. We'll talk more about who those 4 different generals are, how it was divided up after Alexander the Great's death, but it seems to pick up around that time once the kingdom has, the Great's kingdom has been divided into 4 different parts. And there's a lot of battles that are going on, and it's mainly between the Seleucid dynasty, which is the northern part of the middle. He was called the King of the North. So it would be the Middle East area of like Turkey, of Syria. And then the other dynasty that is one of the dynasties was the Ptolemy dynasty, and it incorporated the area of Egypt. So most of the battles that he is going to get interpretation for has to do between those 2 areas. And that is, again, another reason why I believe that it's going to eventually go into the King of the North. That's the final King of the North. That is going to be the Antichrist. That's going to be the last leader that's going to be in that area. And once Jesus comes back, he's the only king that's going to be allowed on the earth. So that is going to be the final king of the north. So since it transitions from the Seleucid dynasty and talks about that last king, and he's also still referred to as a king of the north, I think it just is a continuation of the Seleucid dynasty area. They may not be called that anymore, but it's incorporating that same region. When the Antichrist comes out of that north, I think it's referring to the same places where this guy, these other kings that had previously been talked about, had been located. And we'll, like I said, we'll get into more of those details once we get into chapter 11. But I believe that's why he's so scared and afraid, that he just saw some of the final battles that are going to happen and how horrible that beast is going to be. He's going to be more evil than anybody else, probably, that's ever lived on the earth, because he's going to conquer the whole world. Okay, verse 18. Again, the one who looked like a man touched me and gave me strength. Do not be afraid, you who are highly esteemed, he said. Peace. Be strong now. Be strong. When he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Speak, my Lord, since you have given me strength. So he said, Do you know why I have come to you? Soon I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. Again, I think that is talking again about maybe this prince that he had been fighting with in the heavenly realms. And when I go, the prince of Greece will come. So once that empire is being taken over by Alexander the Great, there's another principality that's there. It could be talking about physical kings here. Again, there's dispute about, it's not always really clear, so it doesn't really matter sometimes about some of those details. What's important to understand is that the Persian Empire will be taken over eventually by the Grecian Empire. Okay, verse 21. But when I tell you what is written in the book of truth, no one supports me against them except Michael, your prince. And so now this is where he goes right into chapter 11. And remember, man puts the breaks in there. So we're going to look at chapter 11, but this angel is now beginning to give him a history of, in verse 1, we're just going to at least add that. And in the first year of Darius the Mede, I took my stand to support and protect him. So this is the angel saying he's going back to the first year of Darius the Mede. This is the third year of King Cyrus. That would be the third year of Darius the Mede as well, because they're co-reigning with each other. So he's going back in time and saying that he came to this particular angel. Angel has been protecting Darius. He's been under his protection, and we're going to see from that point forward in chapter 11 all the different kings that are going to be coming after him. And it doesn't name them in person, it just says this person comes next in the kingdom, this person's next. So we have to go back through history and look and see, and it's easier to do that once the events have happened. It's easier to identify who these people are by certain characteristics and stuff. But even at that, there's a lot of dispute, even amongst the scholars, as to exactly who all these people are. So I will do the best that I can with some of the things I've researched, but it's going to probably be open to dispute because not even all the scholars agree about it.